Okay, hello everybody. Of course, we're just gonna be waiting here a few minutes while I wait on to see if some people show up. Yeah, so I hope everybody had a nice weekend here. I had a pretty busy one. I was on with Doc Blaylock on Saturday night and on with RJ last night for open mic night. Um, yeah, so hopefully everybody's having a good day, good start to the week, and had a good weekend. Um, You and me and a dog named Boo trying to get along. Keeps me going down. I come to tell you what keeps me going round. When you go down, 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 down gravity. When you go down, down, down. Let's see now. Uh, La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. And looks like we have a second person here. Hello, second person. I hope you had a good day, good week. We're just waiting on some more people to show up here before we get started. If you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people, that'd be appreciated. Let's see now. Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition met the greatest escape ever known. High on the rapids, they came all tumbling down till 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost, to the land of the lost. Hopefully you had a good weekend and are having a good start to your week thus far. As I said, we're just waiting for a few more people to show up before we get started. If you can go ahead and like and share the stream so we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be very appreciated. Let's see, 369 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 369, 12. Hey, Mighty Geek. Hello, my friend. Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with Farah. I've never been with anything less than a 9, so fine. Okay. Yeah, hey Mighty Geek, how you doing? Hopefully you're having a good day and week thus far, and hopefully you had a good weekend. We're just, as I said, just waiting to see if we can get some more people in here before we get started. If you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream to see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that would really be appreciated. Let's see. 369 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. I'm doing well, and yourself? All right. I was, of course, I was on Doc's stream on Saturday night for a little bit, and then I was on with RJ last night. I had a more or less a pretty, relaxing weekend. You know, um, just hopefully, looking forward to Goat being back here this week and helping with the co-hosting duties for the show. Hey, Jason. Hey, Jason. How you doing, man? Yeah. Glad that you're here. If you guys can like and share the stream, so we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Let's see now. Yeah. So. All right. So, anyways, let's see. So we have 3 people in here now. It looks like so. I might as well just go ahead and get started. Tonight we have 4 stories. They're all going to be comics related. I guess I can do a quick little Toonami update, as it was announced that starting on February 5th, the they're going to be adding Shamui to the Toonami lineup at 12:30 there. I made that announcement this past weekend, so um, I'll be starting up. Aside from that, the other news items, we have 4 stories tonight that I'm going to go through, all comics related. One of them was actually from last Friday, IDW losing the Transformers and GI Joe licenses. We also have a news article on the Daniel Sherry situation of him leaving DC. Let me see. The sales numbers have also come back from for like son of Superman, son of Kal-El, and that's showing up as basically people saying that they don't like the woke changes to Superman. And of course, I know this particular article got a lot of talk today. I know RJ's interviewing Chris Brawley of Bleeding Fool. I know Ethan's talking about this right now as well on his stream. Um, Mike Barron's Thin Blue Line has basically been banned by Facebook and Reddit for quote unquote misinformation and racism. So those are the topics we're going to be. Those are the stories we're going to be looking at tonight. Here, as I said, we seem to have 3 people here, so I'm going to go ahead and get going on this. As I did just go over the Toonami story too. That Shamui's coming to Toonami on Saturday night, Saturday night, February the 5th. I believe. Let's see. Yeah. Today's the 24th. So next week the 31st and first. Yeah, Saturday night the 5th, Sunday the 6th. So without no further ado, I guess we'll go ahead and get started here on these stories, since I've already talked a little bit about them. So here's the first one that we're going to look at. Let's see. So at the minute mark here. So these look like the designs they had from the 80s. Of course, I grew up on the Marvel Productions Transformers and GI Joe cartoons of the 80s. So after heavily investing in woke identity politics, IDW loses Transformers and GI Joe licenses. Yeah, when you the thing about sometimes with having to get IPs from other sources, and you start doing stuff with those licenses that affects that property, they're not going to be too happy with that. Article by Spencer McCulley, published January 22nd, 2022, which was, I recall, this past Saturday. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. All right. After 17 years and a spiral into injecting the popular franchises with woke identity politics, comic book publisher IDW has announced that they will officially lose the publishing licenses to Hasbro's iconic Transformer and G.I. Joe franchises at the end of 2022. People stop buying the toys, basically. People stop buying the toys because of this stuff. They didn't. People don't want. They don't want to have identity politics shoved in their face. And yet, that's exactly what IDW, like a number of different companies, and I know particularly Yellow Flash. I mean, it seems like a lot of commentators have been using that one page where they're showing just how how much of a steep drop IDW has done in terms of sales numbers, and it's affecting the properties that they're licensing. And Hasbro has basically, it sounds like Hasbro has essentially said they've had enough of this baloney. They're not going to re up with them. They'll probably take their business elsewhere, if anything. Source: Transformers Beast Wars Volume Number 11, Maximal Strike Back Part 2, 2021, IDW. Words by Eric Burnham, art by Josh Burcham. Burnham and Burcham. That's an interesting combo. IDW revealed their upcoming license losses in an exclusive statement given to The Hollywood Reporter, wherein they informed the trade news outlet, quote, at the end of 2022, IDW will bid a fond farewell to the publication of G.I. Joe and Transformers comic books and graphic novels, unquote. Quote, we're exceedingly proud of our stewardship of these titles, 17 years with Robots in Disguise and 14 years with A Real American Hero. Yeah, so proud. Yeah, that tells you something right there. They're proud that they basically just, with their identity politics, they just basically just screwed the franchises into the ground. That's something to be real proud of, isn't it, everybody? What do you guys say about that? You think that's something to be proud of? You think it's a thing to be proud of to screw a franchise right into the ground? Anyways, continuing on here, and thank the legion of fans for their unwavering support month in and month out. Of course, that probably towards the end was waning because I'm sure a lot of if the sales numbers were going down, that was probably telling the fans were not happy about the identity politics of it either. The publisher added, quote, we're also eternally grateful to every one of the talented creators who helped bring these characters to four-color life through our comics, unquote. Let's see. IDW will round out their time as Hasbro's primary comic book publisher with a series of celebratory send-off events, including 2 Transformers crossovers, the 300th issue of G.I. Joe: Real American Hero, and, quote, several special projects, unquote, for G.I. Joe's 40th anniversary. So there you got looks like Bumblebee holding the matrix of leadership. You got a couple of bird bots there, I guess. King of Creation. Of course, good work, kids. Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, Volume 1, Number 13, The War Never Ends, 2016, IDW, words and art by Tom Sicoli. Though they are losing what are arguably Hasbro's 2 most important lines, IDW will still retain the rights to publish comics based on the toy manufacturer's popular My Little Pony and Dungeons and Dragons franchises. Yeah, but still, losing the top 2 there is going to be another major hit. It's going to be like a. Curiously, no word has been given as to the future of the publisher's other Hasbro licenses, including Mask, Action Man, and Rom the Space Knight. Now, I remember watching Mask as a kid. That was a pretty cool cartoon, too. Doug Stone, who most people know as for his voice work in the LA dub voice acting industry, of course, worked with Deke as one of an ensemble of 5 to give us some of the, among the voices for Mask included Matt Tracker, Bruce Sato, Bruno Shepard. So, versus Transformers Shining Armor, Volume 1, Number 5, 2017. Words by John Barber and Christos Gage. Art by Alex Milne and Josh Perez. All right, let me see if anybody. Oh, hey, Clyde, aka Woody. Hey, buddy, my mere mortal self here, just tuning in. Yeah, we're looking at first story of 4 that I'm covering there, Woody, Clyde, where where IDW is losing the licenses to GI Joe, the Real American Hero, and Transformers. And of course, guys, if you can like and share the stream, that will help. There is definitely a 9+ major. Yeah. So I said, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Um, as I said, we're just right now going on the first of 4 articles that I'm doing tonight. This one's in regards to IDW losing the Transformers and GI Joe licenses. So, anyways, all right, so here we go. Let's continue with the article here. IDW's loss of Transformers and GI Joe follows an editorial turn in recent years toward injecting contemporary identity politics into these franchises, replete with a variety of race swaps and sexuality changes. Examples include disgraced G.I. Joe Volume 5 writer Aubrey Sitterson's changing of classic character Salvo into a stocky Samoan woman, complete with her very own braided lobotomy cut. Out of fear that the character's original depiction as a white man with a t-shirt that read "The Right of Might," quote unquote, and quote unquote, a little was a little was quote unquote a little too alt right. Oh, is that supposed to be Salvo right there, or the new imaging of Salvo? Ed Joe Volume 5, Number 3, IDW, words by Aubrey Sitterson, art by Giannis Milong Giannis Milano Giannis, okay, and Laverne Kinjishki. They also retconned Autobots Ratchet and Drift into same-sex lovers. Conjuncts Endura being the Cybertronian equivalent of husband wife. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, how is that kind of possible considering that robots can't procreate like human beings? But I remember from the cartoon, of course, you did have like female, robots, particularly female Autobots and stuff like that, but they never really pushed anything romantic there, whether it was a G1 cartoon or Beast Wars, when they would introduce, female characters, Granted, you did have a hint at like, okay, Optimus and Lita One may have had something going on. You had, some of Elita One's troops and some of Optimus's troops kind of. He had like two or three like Firestar and Inferno. I remember was one one pairing that they were they kind of teased there, but it was never really a big thing because these were robots we were talking about. The Transformers Lost Light Volume 1, number 25, How to Say Goodbye and Mean It, Part 2, IDW, words by James Roberts, art by Jack Lawrence and Joanna LaFuente. Transformers, robots in disguise. Autobots rage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Let's see. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Does anyone know where that came from? Where what came from there, Mighty Geeks? Whatever happened to real American patriotism? Well, yeah. Unfortunately, had a whole generation grow up being told that traditional American values are evil. That's where that came from. Mighty Geek Studios, and it's still being continued to be preached that way. Sounds like Laverne and Shirley. To me, I say Laverne and Shirley. To me, if they had any guts, they would introduce 3 gender robot comics. I'm not ready to write it. Anybody here? I don't think so. Oh, we got 4 people in here now. As always, guys, if you guys can like and share the stream and see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Anyways, continuing on with the article here. Getting back to the article here. They also transformed the classic female Transformer, Arcee. There's another one, who quickly became a fan favorite following her debut in 1986's Transformers the movie, into a Cybertronian equivalent of a male to female transgender individual. It, yeah, that honestly, in a way, that doesn't necessarily surprise me because I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but the voice actress who originally played Arcee back in the movie and in the 3rd season of the G1 Transformers cartoon, Susan Blue, is a lesbian. Okay, so to push it to male to female transgender individual, that's just again not really a big surprise for me there to me. So, anyways, and then we got something. So it's Optimus Prime, Volume 1, number 25, Post, IDW, words by John Barber, art by Kazama and Josh Bertram. So let's see what this dialogue is saying here. I was forged male, which did not match my spark. Someone named Jihaxis claimed he could help, but he altered my CNA and set me loose. It took a while for me to realize this. This had created an adverse effect. Uh, Bad meds? The Cybertronian equivalent, yeah. I met somebody named Anode who said she could help, but then she vanished, which didn't help my state of mind. Anyways, isn't that lovely? Anyways, going back to the article here. As for the comic book future of Transformers and G.I. Joe, The Hollywood Reporter previously reported that Skybound, the imprint founded by the Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman, had entered talks with Hasbro to acquire the franchise's licenses. However, as of writing, there has been no confirmation that such a deal has been successfully negotiated. Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, Volume 1, Number 13, The War Never Ends, 2016, IDW, Words and Art by Tom Sicoli. Anyways, IDW's loss of, well, they still probably have time because remember, it's gonna, again, the license for the IDW license doesn't run out till the end of the year here, so they probably still have time to negotiate. So it's not like it's super pressing at the moment. IDW's loss of Transformers and G.I. Joe makes the second such massive license loss for the publisher in recent months. In September 2021, Disney and Lucasfilm withdrew the publisher's licenses for Marvel and Star Wars All Ages line. Though no reason was ever publicly given for this withdrawal, it is assumed to have been done in order to allow Disney to publish their comic book lines in-house under Marvel. Yeah, that is a way of cutting cost and all that. So you got a Gold Hulk right there and Spidey. Captain America in the middle. You got Hawkeye right there. So Marvel Action Adventures Volume 1, Number 10, The Living Nightmare Part 1. IDW cover art by John Somariva. What do you make of IDW's loss of Transformers and GI Joe licenses? Let us know your thoughts on social media or in the comments. Well, they cut when they decided. Well, you know what how the saying goes. Get woke, go broke. It's essentially what happened here. They basically were starting to pander, and the pandering was by Woody Mu. Huh. Okay, Woody, why are you timing yourself out, man? I just went over there and I saw that. Why are you timing yourself out? Why not just use one? Why not just stick with the Woody? Um, um, anyways, getting ready to move on to the next article here. Coming up on an hour, a half hour thus far, so that seems pretty good. Let's see now. Just want to check something real quick. Just checking out a couple of things here real quick. Before I come back to that, let's see. All right, now let me just check. Just wanted to see. Well, maybe 100 days definitely is. Hopefully he'll drop in soon. All right, so let's see now. All right, so let's get ready to get back into the next article here. Let's see. Now hit the half hour mark here. All right, so here we go. Here's the next one we're gonna look at here, which I know this got a lot of talk over the weekend too. This particular article, I know a lot of people were talking about this. Um, let's go ahead and get into this. DC Comics VP, that's Vice President and GM, General Manager Daniel Cherry III, flees company as they set out to kill the Justice League. Ethan Van Sciver weighs in. Article by J.B. Augustine, published yesterday, basically, January 23rd, which was yesterday. All right, so let's take a look at this. DC Comics Senior Vice President and General Manager Daniel Cherry III is bolting from the struggling company after only 16 months on the job. Innovation YouTube. Hollywood Reporter states he stepped down in a surprise move, tantamount to quote unquote quitting with no reason given, according to quote multiple sources unquote, and DC is so far not commenting on the matter. The Hollywood Reporter also notes Cherry was brought on in 2020 in a newly created position to compensate for the quote unquote harsh executive layoffs across the board at Warner Media and DC that led to quote the departure of co-publisher Dan Didio unquote, who served in his post for over a decade. Didio was reportedly fired unceremoniously when he was called to the home office in Burbank for a rather swift and curt meeting. Comic Pop YouTube right here. Though it's not 100% confirmed, the Hollywood Reporter and Bleeding Cool claimed Cherry left DC to go work for rapper and noted Trump supporter Kanye West, which comes as a surprise when taking into account the woke initiatives DC pushed under Cherry's watch. Hmm. Maybe that's part of the reason why. Maybe it was one of those things where he tried. You know what that kind of tells me is maybe he wasn't as fond of the woke baloney, and maybe he was hoping that from the position he had in there, he was going to try to change it in some way, but probably just didn't work out for him that way. That's what it almost seems like to me. Reading that statement right there, he may not he may not have been one of the woke guys who was pushing a lot of that stuff and was hoping to kind of weed that out. But however, Cherry reported to, well, let's see, I guess this may be in response to what we just read here. However, Cherry reported to Warner Media's executives directly, including global brands and experience president Pam Lifford and DC executive Annie DePies or DePies. So he may have just been a figurehead doing what he was told. Probably, that may be true. And hence again, going in, with the previous, you know, people say it might not, but again, if he was just a figure and if he had no real say, he may personally have objected to the idea of the woke stuff, but he had no real power to do anything about it. So that's interesting. Nevertheless, the Hollywood Reporter remarked, quote, DC did have a banner 2021 thanks to editorial initiatives and interest in its publishing lines thanks to the Suicide Squad movie, Sweet Tooth series, and the Sandman Audible adaptation, among others. What are they smoking? Banner year? The company's going broke. They call that a banner year? Where you're going broke? Of course, whether or not you make money, these commie fools, like that. They just want to get the message out. They don't care. Hey, Rick. As always, if you can help by liking and sharing the stream, that would be really appreciated. So we can get some more friendly people in here. Yeah, I just got through an article talking about IDW lost the licenses to Transformers G.I. Joe. I'm right now reading about Daniel Cherry's departure from DC. So hopefully you're enjoying the content, guys. Here's a scene from the Suicide Squad. I'm taking that's Harley Quinn right there. Guessing. In reality, DC didn't have such a great year with comic sales. Yeah, that's just what I pointed out. And general interest is at an all time low. Future state and the experimentation with character sexuality and gender status gained headlines, but ultimately did nothing to move the needle. And we're going to be reading another story about that too, a little later. um, the whole Superman exploring men bit. And as Daniel Cherry exits, their next big move is to kill the Justice League and replace them with the heirs to every hero identity, from Mera standing in for Aquaman to the Brazilian Wonder Girl and the bisexual son of Kal-El, whose book is a total failure. Yep. Ah, this idea is so played out and doomed from the start. It's being roasted by comic pros Jerry Conway and Ethan Van Sciver, with Conway pointing out and making light of the unoriginality. Oh, oh, they're dead. Oh, they're alive. Oh, rinse and repeat, quote unquote. He tweeted in a reaction to a CBR report about DC's announcement, quote, "For the love of Chulu, get some new ideas, people." That's rich how he put that. Jerry Conway's Twitter. Ethan Van Sciver, EBS, meanwhile, laughs that DC, a company he deems a sinking ship, can't stop losing, and naturally he predicts the new Justice League won't turn their fortunes around. EBS, Young Ripper, Yellow Flash 2, Tug have all said DC now stands for Dead Company. Quote unquote, they're coming at you. From DC to avoid paying creators royalties. The whole thing with the Superman license. The Superman property. They got around what they owe. EVS explains again, by giving original characters new identities that make them a, quote, derivative of that character, unquote. Therefore, DC has a legal escape hatch they can slide through. No, since basically the son of Kal-El was created under DC's watch and not the Seagulls, they can use him as Superman instead of using Kal-El. That's what they're. Van Sciver made similar observations on the diverging of Superman's motto away from, quote, the American way, unquote, to, quote unquote, a better tomorrow. Moreover, the families of Superman's creators, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, get nothing because Siegel and Shuster didn't create Jonathan Kent, or at least not this Jonathan Kent. Actually, no, they didn't even create Jonathan Kent because Jonathan Kent was the Silver Age version. Because in the on Earth 2, it wasn't Jonathan and Martha Kent; it was John and Mary Kent on Earth too. So EVS added, quote, DC is banking on, unquote, readers being interested in, quote unquote, fake versions of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman that have no more diversity boxes checked. Have more, quote, quote unquote, we'll see how that works, he said. Well, I mean, we're already starting to see it. Of Daniel Cherry's exit, he opined the um, comic and in quotes here, business is bad no matter what they tell you, unquote. And Cherry was brought on from out of nowhere to quote unquote manage the decline and quote unquote handle business affairs. So AT&T could quote shrink DC unquote, sell some of it, quote unquote shrink DC and quote unquote sell some of it off and make it cheap and easy to run. EVS also noted he saw much of this coming but was written off as ignorant by Bleeding Cool and other members of the comic press. Cherry's farewell coincides with the Warner merger with Discovery, to be which promising to be a massive shakeup in the corporate stewardship that begins this summer, may have been a factor in his leaving suddenly. Yeah, well, what I my guess, based on everything that was said in this article, because they even said that Cherry was a figurehead, which meant he really had no say in anything that was being done. He was just there for people to point out, yeah, that's the guy who's in charge, but he's not really in charge. He's a figurehead. He's not the one making the rules or enforcing them. He's just there to look pretty, basically. Let's see now. No, you didn't. It was my mistake. I apologize. No, you did your own. You did Clyde. Oh, actually, I guess you did do. I don't know why you. I don't even know why you did that, but well, I can fix that though. I didn't even know you did that, Woody. But I just unhid Mighty Geek Studios. I don't know why you would even need to do that. But I will go back and look at some of the. Let me. All right, let me see what happened here because I didn't even. Yeah, all right. Well, let's look at this. DC is having such a bad year. They're killing the just. Yep. And real comics are laughing with them. I deleted Mighty Geek by mistake. I apologize. Well, hopefully he knows that. Um, I'm just sorry I didn't catch it sooner, or else I would have unhit him sooner. Sometimes you'll lay your bleeping phone down the wrong way and it presses. Yeah, I know. I've heard that happen before. I hate it. They do it on purpose to make sure that you don't understand things to make unintentional context those. Yeah, you'll never see me again. That's okay. Hey, Woody, that's all right. Hey, you didn't mean to. I'm sure. I've unhidden him, so hopefully he'll be back. I'm sure of it. Um, if I see him before tomorrow night, I'll let him know. That was done unintentionally. So, all right. So, anyways, it's probably a good time to move on to the next article. This next one we're gonna be talking about, of course, is one that's been This is actually one that's been it's been buzzing quite a bit today because I know Ethan covered this earlier in a live stream. RJ covered this earlier in a live stream. So, you know, this one's probably the big story of the day or the weekend here. The comic subreddit bans Mike Barron's Thin Blue Line for quote unquote misinformation and racism. Article by John F. Trent, published earlier today. It wasn't just subreddit though; it was also Facebook, from what I understand, according to RJ. So let me. Huh. All right, so here we go. Let's see now. So I have 3 people watching, so that's good to see. All right, so we read all that. So let's get into the article here. An activist moderator on the popular subreddit, I guess I guess that means Reddit comic subreddit, which boasts membership of over 1.7 million readers, banned promotion of prolific comic book creator Mike Barron's new book, Thin Blue Line, for quote unquote misinformation and racism. Now, those are 2 different things there. Now, I did watch some of RJ's stream earlier about it when he was talking to Chris Brawley from Bleeding Fool, who's also the guy helping to publish this book. Um, Actually, RJ did contact that subreddit and found out what's going on, and it is pretty much an activist moderator. But anyways, as we continue on with the article here, user you the bleeding user the bleeding fool shared an article from the Federalist where Barron promoted the book while also talking about his history with comics and his views on the current state of law enforcement. The bleeding fool, of course, being Chris Brawley's, right? In response to the sharing of the article, Reddit comics moderator Sick Burn Bro replied to the original posting, writing, quote, "Hello, the bleeding fool. Unfortunately, your submission has been removed for the following reasons: misinformation and racism." The moderator added, quote, "If you feel that your submission has been removed in error, please message us so we can take a look. Thanks." Unquote. Now, on RJ's stream earlier, of course, Chris was talking about how he did that. they were like basically making him run through, jump through hoops just to try to resolve the situation. He eventually got around it by just posting on another on another subreddit, you know, that was, let's say, more in line with his line of thinking. But you know how how some of these comic pros can be, these mainstream comic pros, and that this is, I guess, what they were showing from the comic subreddit right here. Aaron's Thin Blue Line tells a story, quote, follows police officer Valeria Baca and her partner Bob Mack as their detail guarding the mayor turns into a fight for survival, unquote. The official description on the book's Indiegogo page continues, quote, mobs burn down City Hall, forcing the officers to improvise on the run, relying only on their training and wits as the mayor's protestations and eagerness to placate to the rioters prove fruitless, unquote. No, no, I mean, they just need to be understood. They just need to be understood. Yeah, they're just crying like this because they just need to be understood. No, I think they do understand them. Ah. Speaking with Fox News, Barron revealed that the book is a direct response to the riots of 2020. He explained, quote, well, I always say don't choose my stories choose me, unquote. And like every one of you, I was watching television during the long hot summer of 2020 when we saw talking news heads in front of cities that had been burned to the ground explain that they were mostly peaceful riots. And then politicians started to cry for defunding the police, unquote. Yeah, again, you kind of have to wonder what would happen if something major happened to one of these politicians who's crying for the police, and the police weren't there to do their job because you had them defunded. You know, somebody breaks into your house and wants something from you, whether that's your possessions, whether that's your family, whether that's you. You know, he explained, quote, oh, okay, and actually we read that part already. Quote, my reaction was, in smaller quote, are they insane? Civilization depends on the rule of law. You're either for the rule of law, or you're not, unquote, he stated. He went on to add, quote, the story practically wrote itself. And I have to emphasize it's not a lecture. It's not a didactic at all. It's not didactic at all. It's pure drama, unquote. Quote, you are going to love it. It's a great story. It's going to grab you by the throat on the first page, and you won't be able to put it down until you finish it, unquote, he declared. But that's a scene from the interview. See what you guys are saying. Let's see. Hey, RJ. Yes, I am well aware of that. I watched a good portion of your stream there. I was there for a bit, went away and then went back. So we just had Chris Bray on talking about this. Yes, I know. Smash like and share. Thank you, RJ. And for those who haven't yet, if you can do that and see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be very appreciated. Um, and as I understand, should be back here by Friday. Probably still kind of getting used to, you know, everything. So hopefully we'll see him soon. Let's see. So, all right. So as we continue on with the article here, in his interview with Peter Pischke of the Federalist, Barron reiterated the riots of 2020 inspired the book. When Pichke asked, quote, "So you are now doing," um, in quotes there, "Thin Blue Line, a pro law enforcement story? What motivated you to do a pro cop comic book story?" Unquote. Aaron answered, quote, "One day watching these riots that swept through America last year, you would see the same thing on channel after channel. City in flames, looters running in and out, some idiot addressing the camera up front saying, quote, in smaller quotes, these mostly peaceful protests are for a righteous cause, unquote. And you see politician after politician, in smaller quotes, we must defund the police, unquote. Yeah. Again, I would ask you, would they still be calling for defunding the police if something happened to them? Somebody broke into their house and wanted something from them, whether, as I said, whether it be their possessions or their family or them, would they still be crying for defunding the police? You know? Anyways. Quote, since they declared war on the police, homicides are up 100% in every blue city. Rapes, robberies are up over 100% in every one of those cities that attack their own police department. Now they have these vaccine mandates. They want to force everyone to get a vaccine. Here's the irony about that too. Here's the irony about trying to enforce a vaccine mandate when you have no police. So how are you going to enforce a vaccine mandate without the police? What, you think a social worker is going to be able to force a needle into somebody's arm? You know, the social workers would probably sit there and, you know, it reminds me of a saying that professional wrestler Taz was known for. Oh, hey, Mighty Geek Studios. Let me see. The co-creator of Thin Blue Line is a cop. Yeah, Jim. I believe Jim Arnold, the guy who one of the artists on there is yeah. Um, and Mighty Geek Studios, Woody apologized. He didn't mean to hide you earlier. That was a mistake. I unhid you. So hopefully, it was one of those, things with his phone. So hopefully hopefully you accept his apology. I'll try to be friends here. Anyways, as we continue on with the article here. Oh yeah, once again, just going back to what I just said though. Kind of ironic that they want to try to enforce a vaccine mandate, and they also want to defund the police because it would be the police who would be helping you to enforce that vaccine mandate. Albeit most law enforcement, and I know of more in the like redder areas, have pretty much said they're not going to enforce it. So, um, you know, I have heard here, like in Southern California areas like Beverly Hills and some parts of Hollywood and all that, where they are a bit more blue. The cops are enforcing like the mandates and stuff like that. But you know, um, so if they're defunding the police, what's the logic behind that? I think these people are going to probably end up seeing it when they're all of a sudden at home, they're sleeping in their nice bed. All of a sudden, they hear a crash, and then all hell would break loose, and then they'd be regretting that stance of, you know, of, oh, we got to defund the police. So Uh, they call to defund the police, not the army. So the army would be forcing the needle. Well, yeah, but usually in states it would be the state. At least here, I don't know how it is up in Canada, there, Rick. But here in the United States, we have the National Guard. The National Guard is basically the state militia. Okay, so they'd be the ones who'd be probably doing it, with the authority coming from the governor. Because if the politicians decide to turn our own armed forces against us, there'd be hell to pay. There'd be serious hell to pay if they did that. That's all right. I understand and I accept the apology. All right. Well, that's cool. Anyways, so getting back to the article here. Let's see. Let's see. Well, and as I recall too, even RJ and Chris on RJ's show earlier was even saying that Mike Barron here may have been being a little hyperbolic. Might have been stretching the numbers a bit there. You know, for effect. Not because he's trying to be deceitful and misinform people, just more for effect. You know. Now it could be more, it could be less. It just you know. All right. Now they have the and I already talked about that. And I talked about how ironic that would be, them trying to enforce that vaccine mandate without the help of the police. So Aaron then asserted, quote, and police officers and first responders and nurses and doctors are walking off the job all over the country, leaving hospitals and police departments understaffed, even worse than they were, unquote. Well, yeah, what's going to probably happen is, at least with the police, because I actually know of at least one sheriff down in Florida who's already stated, hey, you police officers in those blue cities, if you don't want to work there anymore or you get fired, come on down here. We'll be glad to take you on as officers. You know. So again, again, this is a major paradigm. It's going to still be quite a frictious situation. Let's see. Quote, so I decided, well, this story needs to be told because it's certainly not being told in any of the popular entertainment we're seeing these days, unquote, he noted. Yeah, so let's see if anybody's saying anything new there. Let's see. Can you imagine what would have happened if all of the cops quit after the Chauvin? Oh, man. That's also what I've been talking about, Mighty Geek Studios. Whether it's after the whole Chauvin situation or some of the other anti-cop situations, if you had a massive, like, where in a lot of these blue cities where they're calling for defunding the police and just basically spitting in the face of police and being totally disrespectful, it would, if the police departments just said, The police officer just said, "Okay, fine. You think we're the bad guys? Fine. We're gonna quit. We're gonna move on. We're gonna either just quit outright, or we're just gonna move somewhere where they do appreciate us. These cities would be hell on earth. Okay, if the police did a massive quit like that, these blue cities that are like crying and wailing for defunding the cops would be hell on earth, because you would have no law and order. It'd be like, it would be literally survival of the fittest. You can do just about anything you want in the city, good, bad, or indifferent. So, I mean, why take a job that you could go to jail for doing? Yeah, that's a good point too, Mighty Geek Studios. That's a good point. You could, the only reason that maybe keeps some cops in those cities is the fact they truly, despite you know the disrespect they get, they still have that heart where they want to protect and serve. That's the only reason a lot of them probably stay there. They want to protect and serve that community, even when that community is turning against them. So that's kind of the issue at hand there. Hi, anyway, so with that, let's see. Let's get back to the article here and continue with it. The Thin Blue Line writer then gave a brief run down on the book. Brief rundown on the book. Quote: "It's about two police officers trying to survive a night in a riot-torn city. It will be familiar to everybody who's aware of the news, but I must stress it's not a polemic at all. It's not a lecture at all. It's one of the best stories I've ever written. It's gripping. It'll grab you by the throat on the first page, and you won't be able to put it down." Unquote. It's just solid drama, and it snaps and clicks from panel to panel. That's what I try to do with my entertainment. No wasted space, no boring spots, just pure entertainment. It just happens to have police who are cast in a sympathetic light, because you're either for the rule of law or you're not. Civilization depends on the rule of law, unquote, he declared. Mhm. Whap. Look at that. Artwork and the Thin Blue Line has currently been backed by 1,037 people to the tune of 53,793 on Indiegogo. On Kickstarter, the book has currently been backed by 481 people to the tune of $36,034. There are 11 days left to back that campaign. Um, what do you make of the popular Reddit comic subreddit Manning and interview with prolific comic book for yeah, I think they're idiots. That's what I think. They're freaking idiots for doing that. So we do have one more story to go through here. There's another big story in that. Let me see now. Let's see. Mighty Geek Studios are saying, I can see these former officers laughing at progressives as they get robbed over and over again. Well, I mean, think about it, Mighty Geek Studios. It would be a lot worse than just simply getting robbed. I mean, think about it. Think about in some of these big cities if there were no police around at all. These people are sleeping in their homes, right? Their homes or their apartments or whatever in the city. There's no cops to call if something happens. You know, they're sleeping in their homes, and all of a sudden there's a crash. Windows broken. All of a sudden they find somebody in their house who shouldn't be there. Now, normally most people would if they have a gun, a lot of people would just shoot the robber. But a lot of these people don't have guns either. You know, you know, and then they go to call the police, and you know they get a dead tone because the police have all been defunded, have all been basically fired and said, "Hey, we don't want you here. We hate you. We don't want you here. We don't respect you. We don't appreciate the fact that you protect us from all the real evil people in the world. You just make us the bad guys." And and then and then when they find somebody in their house who wants something from them, whether it's their possessions or their family or their families or maybe even them themselves, and they realize there's no help coming because they sat there and called for defunding the police. Yeah, exactly. Welcome to hell. A hell that is custom made by them. And they don't have baseball bats. Wonder if they have frying. I mean, yeah, but for the most part, somebody who breaks into your house who's going to want something from you see, they're already breaking the law. So, even if you have a baseball bat or a frying pan or a broom handle, whatever, that's not going to do much good against somebody who has a gun or a knife or like a short sword or something like that, you know, um, or shimtar or what have you. You know, so these people they think they're so smart, but they're not because they don't really think of the consequences or the potential consequences of this type of thinking. All right. Anyways, moving on to the last main article we're gonna look at tonight. New December comic book sales data appears to show readers are rejecting DC Comics in smaller quotes here, I guess. Woke changes to Superman. Article by John F. Trent published earlier today. And there's another one that was talked about. I know Yellow Flash did a video over the weekend about this as well. Where basically, yeah, the whole. And I think even according to Yellow Flash's headline, he goes, "People, Superman exploring men fails." Because only a small handful of people really want to see that. The latest data set featuring comic book sales from December appear to show that readers are rejecting DC Comics' woke changes to Superman. At the Superman TP New Edition. If you haven't been paying attention to all the woke changes DC Comics has made to Superman, there have been a ton. First, they replaced Clark Kent with his son Jonathan Kent, and now, of course, that's not to be confused with his adoptive father, Jonathan Kent, by the way, as Superman, and then made him attracted to dudes. In October, DC Comics confirmed, quote, just like his father before him, John Kent had fallen for a reporter. After initially striking up a friendship with reporter Jay Nakamura, he and John become romantically involved in the pages of Superman Son of Kal-El #5 from writer Tom Taylor, in parentheses here, Dark Knights of Steel, and artist John Timms from Harley Quinn. And I'm going to go right past that because I don't think anybody wants to see that. Criminals will always have a weapon of some sort. Yeah, that's true, Mighty. That's true, Mighty Geek. That is exactly true. Because basically, the whole idea behind being a criminal is you're breaking the law already. Doesn't matter if it's just having an illegal weapon or if it's breaking into somebody's house to do whatever. It's just more the quantity of crime they're involved in as opposed to the quality. Quickly following that, at DC Fandom, DC Comics publisher Jim Lee announced that Superman's iconic motto, quote, truth, justice, and the American way, unquote, would be changed to truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, unquote, unquote. Which, of course, we know about, like Gabe Elteeb leaving DC because of that. We've heard some other people growl about that a bit. Um, Lee explained the change was to, quote, better reflect the global storylines that we are telling across DC and to honor the character's incredible legacy of over 80 years of building a better world, unquote. Yeah, but that was still with the American ideology of freedom and of liberty, you know. Mm-hmm. And DC Comics writer Tom Taylor, who is Australian, by the way, just to let you guys know, revealed that the new gay Superman is also a climate activist. Who in the world wants to see Superman holding up? Who wants to see Superman running around with Greta Thunberg? Taylor shared the cover for Superman Son of Kal-El #7 that shows Kent holding up a sign that reads, School Strike for Climate. In an interview with IGN, Taylor elaborated, quote, the question for John and for our creative team is, what should a new Superman fight for today? Can a 17-year-old Superman battle giant robots while ignoring the climate? Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Well, first off, as has been pointed out before, if he really was to use his powers to fight for climate change, he could do it without protesting. Okay, we saw this quite a bit in the first Super Friends cartoon back in 1973. Whenever they'd have an environmental crisis, Superman could sit there. He could first off, he could collect all the trash of the world in like a matter of seconds, throw it into the sun. Okay, he could probably clean up the oceans, clean up the land, clean up the air in a matter of seconds. So this whole having him protest, it, it's it's stupid, and it's just them trying to push an agenda. Again, taking these iconic characters and propagating them to push their own ideologies. That's what they're doing here. You know, people. It's like if it's somebody who's well known and famous, people are at least going to be a little bit more like if Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman's telling you something's right or wrong, you're more likely to listen to it than if, let's say, John Doe, Jane Roe, or Joe Smith is um, telling you what's right and wrong. You're a little more likely to take Superman or Wonder Woman or Batman's word for it over John Doe, Jane Roe, or John Smith. So he then detailed that he's not just a climate activist, but he is also an activist for illegal immigrants as well, unquote. So he's not for the rule of law, he's basically for anarchy. Quote, can someone with super sight and super hearing ignore just injustices beyond his borders? Can he ignore the plight of asylum seekers? Well, okay, first off, he wouldn't be ignoring them because basically, if they're trying to do it the right way and the legal way, you know, because they're still breaking the law by doing it illegally, by trying to cross the borders. They don't want to wait their turn. They just want to. And the reason the left is so for illegal immigrants is not because they really care about them. It's because they want people who are emboldened to them, who are basically indebted to them, to vote and to propagate their power. So that's what's going on there. With all of these woke changes happening back to back, DC Comics put out a press release claiming that they had quote unprecedented orders unquote for Superman Son of Kal-El #5. The company wrote, quote, following the news of the upcoming reveal of John Kent coming out as bisexual in issue #5 of Superman Son of Kal-El, global fan excitement has led to more orders for the upcoming issue than the series' debut issue. Well, some of that might be true just for the novelty aspect of it. The novelty aspect of it might be playing more into that than anything else. Um, yeah, so anyways, getting back to so previous estimates for the book sales showed it was in the gutter. Okay, so here we go. Previous estimates for the book's sales showed it was in the gutter, with Comic Con claiming the first book of Superman, Son of Kal-El only sold 68,800 issues back in July when it first debuted. That was good for the 17th best-selling comic of the month. All right, so back in July it was 17th. The most recent data compiled by Comic-Con reveals that the book's third issue only sold 34,000 copies in September. That was good for 77. So it was out of the top 50 by September. It was in the top 20 in July, and then by September it was out of the top 50. That was good enough for 77th best-selling comic of the month. And I know, again, this is part of what Yellow Flash's coverage was on this um, because in terms of the top 50 comic sold, um, with the exception of two titles, all of DC's entries into the top 50 comic books are all Batman titles, and those two that aren't Batman titles are towards the bottom of the top 50. And neither one of them, of course, is Superman, Son of Kal-El. Well, that 68,000 number for the first issue is even worse when you compare it to previous Superman #1 issues when the series was rebooted. When Brian Michael Bendis took over the title back in 2018, Superman #1 sold 133,700 copies. So, and I know Yellow Flash has had a lot of criticisms for Brian Michael Bendis, but even he sold more books than these guys are selling in that first. In June 2016, when DC relaunched their entire line with DC Rebirth, Superman Rebirth #1 sold 118,434, and Superman #1 sold 105,380 copies. Okay, so Superman #1 didn't for the Rebirth didn't sell it. So Brian Michael Bendis' title sold more than that. So when DC rebooted their entire universe with the new 52 in September 2011, Superman #1 sold 118,376. So that was still even more than the 68,000 right there. Sales tracking website ICV2, who explains their data, said is, quote, unit and dollar sales rankings based on sales tracked at points of sales by the Comic Hub system at stores selling American comics around the world, unquote. So basically, these numbers are based on comic shop numbers that are actually sold from comic shops. Did report that Superman Son of Kal-El #5 did hit the 6th most sold comic book for the month of November. It still didn't beat out the likes of Batman and Dark Knights of Steel. The ICV2's most recent data set for December reveals it was a one-time gimmick, as the book did not show up in the top 50 chart when looking at total units. Superman Son Kal-El 2021 annual #1 did place 45th on ICV2's top 50 comic books sold by dollars chart for the month. So yeah, and that's what Yellow Flash was saying too, is that yeah, it may have hit 6th, at one point, but then just completely bombed. That's right, the flagship Superman book at DC Comics is not on a top 50 comic books by units chart, only 5 issues in. You think about that, that's a pretty damning statement right there. Probably considered one of the most iconic. Jeff Fox, what did I? Well, we've been going through some comic articles. We talked about Mike Barron. We talked about Daniel Cherry. We talked about IDW losing the Transformers and GI Joe license. But since I do keep these streams up, you can always go back and catch it later. But as usual, it's always better to get it live. Always better to have the experience live. So I was kidding. ah, anyways. As we continue on with the article here. YouTuber Comics by Perch believes the latest December sales numbers for DC Comics means the company is screwed, and that's been talked a lot about. That these identity politics that they're pushing is really just screwing them right into the ground. He says, "quote There's been a lot of speculation about the health of DC. Nothing quite says you are screwed like this. In terms of health of the company, sit with this for a second. 50 DC titles. The top 50 DC titles, 48 of them are Batman books. It is the Batman company. Just forget the rest." Yeah, I know, and I know Yellow Flash made that same reference. In fact, reference what Perch had said, and we talked about that too. All the titles that are in the top 50 comic book sales are all but two of them are Batman books. He added, "quote No part of that is good news for DC or even close to it. That's where we are at," unquote. Yeah, and for number 4 here, of course, they're putting the whole pride color in the little things there. Sheesh, what's that supposed to be? What do you make of the latest data that appears to show readers are rejecting the woke changes? Well, as has been said several times, um, get woke, go broke. Oh, there we go. So that's it on the main stories. We covered quite a bit there. Anyways, all right. So we're we're just past the hour and 33-minute mark. I think we can go ahead. Go ahead and stop sharing that screen because we're done with the main articles. Excuse me for a moment while I go off camera real quick here. Right, I'm back. I want to go check something real quick here. All right. Alrighty then. So let's see now. Now that we're at this point, let's see, we're an hour and 34. So was there anything? So did any of you have anything more you wanted to say about the articles we covered tonight? Any questions? Any comments? Anything you guys want to discuss? Um, if not, we might just go ahead and start winding down. So does anybody here have anything they'd like to add to the conversation? Anything you want to, in terms of niche or what we covered tonight? Anything you guys want to ask about, talk about, comment on? Um, Just wait a couple minutes here or minute or so here. I said if you guys have more you want to ask or talk about in regards to what we covered or anything niche, we can probably start winding things up here. Probably can get to the this day in each history segment um and the, do 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 Superman. It's Superman. Superman. It was fun while it lasted with the mainstream. Yep. All right. Yeah, I guess we covered quite a bit tonight. So so I think it's a good time to start wrapping up. I thank you guys for being here. So is everybody ready for this day in each history then? All right. So without any further ado, we're gonna take a look. Today being Monday, January 24th, 2022. We're gonna take a look back at this day in each history. Alrighty then. Yeah. Says. All right. So first thing we're gonna look at here is we're gonna go back 30 years ago today. As on this date, 30 years ago today, Kenneth Loren Darby, who was an American composer, vocal arranger, lyricist, and conductor, um, passed away on this date at the age of 82. All right, yeah, the age of 82, I believe. Um, yeah, 82. He was a his film scores were recognized by the awarding of he's a three-time Academy Award winning and a one-time Grammy Award winning Grammy winner for his film scores. Um, for and then he also provided vocals for the Munchkin Land Mayor and the Wizard of Oz. He's a bit of a voice actor. Um, Composer, vocal arranger, lyricist, conductor. He did a number of did a lot of the music for movies and cartoons and all that. So he's a three-time Academy Award winner and a one-time. So on this date back in 1990, 30 years ago today, Ken Darby would pass away at the age of 82. So and that let's move on to the next um, piece in each history, which actually happened just 5 years ago. On this date in 2017, 5 years ago today, from the Huntington Center in Toledo, Ohio, WWE held its SmackDown Live event on this date 5 years ago today. And the result in the main event of the show saw Dean Ambrose, who's of course now John Moxley in AEW, defeat The Miz in a lumberjack match to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Also during the show, you saw Dolph Ziggler defeat Kalisto in 48 seconds. You saw in a Royal Rumble qualifying 10-man battle royal, Mojo Rawley won that. Randy Orton defeated Luke Harper. And in a pair of dark matches in the first dark match at the beginning of the show, American Alpha of Chad Gable and Jason Jordan defeated Brizongo Fandango and Tyler Breeze for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And you also in the dark match after the show, you saw AJ Styles retain the WWE World Championship over John Cena. So on this day in 2017, SmackDown Live event from um, the Huntington Arena there. Let's see, yeah, from the Huntington Center in Toledo, Ohio, was held. All right, and for one last piece of neat history here, we go back 4 years ago today, as on this date, 4 years ago today, we have for you the 25th and final issue of Postal from Image Comics from its Top Cow imprint. On this date, 4 years ago, today, 2018, the 25th and final issue of Postal from Image Comics Top Cow imprint went on sale on this day. Hey, Jason, did you watch Yellow Submarine from the? No, I've never seen that, Jason. I never saw that. Not something I really got into too much. I've heard of it, but um, not really my cup of tea. Anyways, guys, well, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the show and enjoyed the content. And I look forward to seeing you guys all back here tomorrow night. Until then, bye.